Hi everyone, this is Matthew Janda for CardRunners, and I'm here with my 7th video in my pre-flop defending against 3-bets on the button quickie series. This is probably going to be the last video I make using this specific range where we open the button 45% and we try to defend 15.1%. So we're going to go ahead and get started with defending at least one more flop. Queen, Queen, 10 with a flush draw. So let's go ahead and write that down. Queen of Hearts, Queen of Clubs, 10 of Hearts. Total combos is going to be 161. So we have a little bit less combos than we did with some other flops. So we'll have to defend a little bit less because there's so many removal effects. Times 0.7 equals 113. Should our opponent be able to properly bet any two cards? That's a good question here. And I'm going to talk about that in more detail in a moment. Value raising range is going to be 0 here. I don't think we want to raise anything here. I don't think we're too afraid of giving free cards. If we do have a hand that's kind of strong, but maybe afraid of some gut shots or flush draws, like Queen Jack, it's still better off to call, I think, and make the opponent double barrel at a high frequency since we get such good odds. And then even with a hand like Queen Jack, if we turn a Jack and he has Ace King, that's going to be amazing. So I don't think we're going to want to value raise anything here. Bluff raising range will be 0, of course, as well. Okay, so let's talk about that whole can our opponent profitably bet with any two cards thing. This is a board texture where it's not, there's going to be a lot of hands that I think are way ahead and way behind on the flop. So if our opponent's betting with a really bad bluff, it's not going to be that awful here. So like, for example, if our opponent was betting with any two cards on the last board texture we talked about, which was something like Jack 10-4 two-tone, that would be pretty terrible because there's so many good hands and so many bluffs our opponent can have that he doesn't, for him to be bluffing with an awful hand when he can have so many draws, so many gut shots, so many flush draws, that's quite bad. His, the required strength he needs to bluff is going to be higher on that board texture. Here, there's still a reasonable amount of draw, but there's not quite as much because there are so many way ahead, way behind hands since both our opponent and our range includes so many Queen X type hands. So, this is a board texture where I'm not sure if he should be able to bet with any two cards. I would first want to see how my range would look when I defend 113 combos, and then based on, that range, I would start to estimate whether or not I thought this is a board where he should be able to properly bet any two cards, and if he can, I don't think it'd be one where it would be extremely profitable for him to bet any two cards. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so for the 3 of a kind or better, we have 31 combos. So, right here. So that's going to be trips plus is 31. So that means, not very often I write trips plus, but 31 combos is quite a lot. So one thing that's kind of important to realize here is if we end up defending around a third of our range when our opponent goes bet, so 161 times 0.33, we end up faulting around, 53 combos by the river, give or take. So 31 hand combos makes up a lot of that range. So if our opponent does go bet, we will have trips quite often when we call down, which of course kind of makes sense when you think we're calling with preflop ace queen off, king queen off, and queen jack off. So we have quite a few trips here. Now let's look at middle pair. So middle pair is 55 combos, or 55 combos is middle pair or better. So that of course means, middle pair is 24 combos. Perfect. So let's write that down. Middle pair is 24. Okay, and so we already have quite a few made hands to call down with if our opponent goes bet, but we don't know that he's always going to take the line bet, so we might also want to call with some hands that can still win by checking back on the turn, so we'll keep that in mind. But let's look at sort of the easier calls first. So flush draws, that's going to be 13 combos. Let's look at opening and straight draws. Probably don't want that anymore. That's going to be 18 combos because we have to discount the flush draws. So open-ended straight draw is going to be 18. Let's look at some gut shots, perhaps. Gut shots is going to be another 21 combos. Gutter is going to be 21. And so that gets us to how many? 31 plus 24, that's 55, plus 13, that's 68, plus 18, that's 86, plus 21, that's 107. So that gets us to 107 combos. And now we want to just pause for a moment and think, do we have a balanced range here where we have a decent amount of made hands and a decent amount of draws? And so far, this looks pretty decent. We're in position. We have 55 made hands, less draws than that at around 52, I believe. So yeah, this looks really balanced so far. So for the last hand combos, you probably can get away with flatting with a few made hands like pocket nines, or trying to see if you can find some other draws that you kind of like maybe you like, some sort of ace nine of clubs or something like that. I don't really have that strong of an opinion, to be honest. Either one of those sounds fine. I would just try to call with the 6 more hand combos, so we actually are defending 60%, but even then, this isn't really a problem or anything. There's no reason why you need to defend 60%. It just means if you do, then your opponent's not profitably betting with any 2 cards on the flop.